Man, we're back here with another episode. Here, episode 59 of the Block to Block podcast, the best podcast in the world for all things Web3. Here we break down the technology, what's going on in the market, and the ways in which you can benefit. I am NFT and Jai, and I'm here with another breathtaking, amazing episode where we really dive into the deep of the things with our amazing guest, Mandi. Mandi Argo, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. I know we had originally planned to do this maybe like 1 or 2 weeks ago, but then we had to like reschedule. So I'm super excited to have this conversation underway.
Yeah, and thank you again for being flexible with me. Sorry about having to reschedule, but I'm really excited to be here.
All good, all good, all good. So before we get into it, I must say that this podcast is for general informational purposes only. In no event are we liable if you decide to lose your cheese, cheddar, mozzarella, or provolone. Your financial decisions are up to you, and we strongly encourage that you consult with a financial advisor and or any other certified financial professional who can help you with your choices when it comes to your capital. And with that, let's just dive into Mandi's backstory here because you have a very impressive bio, which I want to, really highlight here.
Thank you.
Yes, so born and raised in the great state of Texas,
Hey.
Mandi moved recently to Tulsa, Oklahoma in 2020 and immediately fell in love with the city and its people. She joined Venture for America after working 8 years at the University of Texas at Austin, where she supported students and faculty in their career, research, and entrepreneurial endeavors. Most recently, Mandi supported the UT College of Natural Sciences fundraising efforts by overseeing relationships with companies and foundations that support research and development and student programs. Mandi earned her bachelor's in philosophy and executive master's in public leadership, both from the University of Texas. She loves motorcycles, exploring new restaurants, and her family. And the main driver for her to go into Tulsa after relocating from Texas is just really being a part of the Tulsa entrepreneurial ecosystem. So Mandi here is a superhero. Like she's a great connector. Previously, like back in August, I had the pleasure of going to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and part of the entrepreneur program Venture for America just to learn more about the opportunities out there. And Mandi basically had like the keys to the city. She knew any and everybody, was a great connector and just a great joy to work with. So I'm super excited to really talk to you today, specifically about the world of crypto today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. You're too kind. I'm very excited to be here. And having you in Tulsa, you're such a treat. Really love getting to show you my study. And I just appreciate you coming and taking a chance on us and learning more about my community.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just to kick things off, because you have such a vast knowledge when it comes to cryptocurrency specifically, and a really cool passion project that we'll get into later. Can you just tell us like how did you get here? Like, can you tell us a bit about your story and what got you involved within like Web3 and crypto to begin with?
Yeah, really good question. I so my brother about a year ago started investing in crypto
Mhm.
and then launched his own business and an investing tool for crypto. And about 3 months into it, he was like, Mandi, this is such a crazy market. You should really learn more about it and get involved. Um, and he was like, just the nature of you being a woman would set you up for success. There are no women doing this.
Mm,
So I, started doing some research, looking more into it, a little bit about my master's program. We had to do a capstone project where I focused on increasing diversity in the tech space. I worked for the computer science department while I was there, supporting a lot of DEI initiatives. And so I'm very familiar and very acquainted with the disparities and the gap in diversity in tech spaces.
right.
And so the more I learned about the crypto space, it became pretty apparent that that is yet another industry that is set up to be, kind of the way that a lot of tech spaces and financial spaces currently look, right? Very dominated by white dudes. And so I really took an interest in crypto because I saw there's really a real opportunity for impact here. What is holding women back from getting involved? Who are the key players involved in crypto now, and what has set them up for success over other people? And should this space continue to look the way that it does, what are the long-term implications when it comes to women, underrepresented groups in general? And so that's really where like I wanted to get involved, leveraging my background and my studies in DEI best practices in tech, doing a lot of the work that I've done in DEI in tech, and my work currently working with founders in entrepreneurial startup spaces. And how do we bridge that gap and bring more people into the fold? So that's my journey into crypto and kind of what set me up for launching my project.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's a lot to unpack there, right? So one, I definitely want us to speak about the importance of, diversity, equity, and inclusion when it comes to tech specifically, because as we know, when it comes to overall industries and like the impact and the wealth generation opportunities and many more opportunities for innovation and impact, like tech is really at the forefront of that, right? And so if we're in a space where, like I believe is what roughly when it comes to the global population, women are like what 51% of the global population, or let's just say 50-50, right? If half of the population doesn't have the equal access to this opportunity in tech in general, and the new frontiers of technology when it comes to things such as Web3, crypto, or even AI or these other spaces, we're really doing a disservice to ourselves from a societal perspective, because you're really creating these, whether intentionally or unintentionally, these disparities of these different groups. So I really want to commend you for just like your efforts in D&I, because it's very important that we have not only conversations, but actual actions that can help disrupt these disparities.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I agree. And that's a big impetus for me is what is it that is holding women back when it comes to getting involved in tech spaces, getting involved in financial spaces, and taking ownership of that.
Yeah,
What's preventing them from getting involved? And a lot of it has to do with just the way that we generally treat money, right? Like crypto is this bridge of tech and finance.
right.
But the way that women treat money is very different than the way that men have treated money. And so in a lot of my research, it's like, okay, like if we're going to get women involved, we have to understand the psychology of how we behave, how we operate when it comes to our finances, and set us up for success to take those actions. And so a lot of the research that I've done and people that I've spoken with and studies that I've already done before I got involved, women are not risk takers when it comes
Mhm.
to finances. We are very, we're not gamblers. We're typically, right? Like we're not gamblers. We're not big risk takers. We want to be more educated, right? So even my own journey with getting involved in crypto was very research first and research forward. And women tend to operate that way. We want to be really knowledgeable and research forward, where a lot of men, like my brother, is very comfortable just diving in from the jump and saying like, hey, like I know it's a little risky, but there's so much great opportunity, I'm just going to go for it.
Right.
Women generally don't operate that way when it comes to our money. And so the project that I'm working on is tailored to how women treat money, but also attempting to bridge that gap of like tech can be a space where you belong to.
Yeah. I really, really like that perspective. I remember in when I was doing my program in international development, we spoke a lot about like microfinance institutions and like, how that originally got a lot of traction within India from like a more formalized perspective. And they found like there's a huge impact when women had the autonomy to be in charge of the finances, because, it's not, and perhaps you found parallels in your research as well, but it seems as though the women tend to think more in terms of like overall community impact. Like, okay, I have this money. This is how it needs to be allocated within the household in terms of like the needs of like the children, the needs in terms of like household infrastructure, everything else in that general. And so as a result, they're they tend to be a bit more intentional with how money is allocated versus the more laissez-faire, oh yeah, I can just go out here and make more money. Let me just invest it in Bitcoin and get a bag.
Yeah, exactly. Like we just behave and think like the psychology around women and money, it just looks very different.
Yeah.
And so seeing, how most crypto spaces have been, they're naturally more risky. Like we all know that if you're, working or living in the crypto space or paying any attention at all, that it's volatile and that it's risky.
Mhm.
That in and of itself is going to turn a lot of women off. But
Gotcha.
like you said, like the generational wealth opportunities, the ability to have more autonomy over your finances, and like that, the potential there is massive. And so we need to be able to create avenues and pathways for women to get involved and make sure that it is that something is tailored to women to make sure that we're getting more women into the fold and involved in this space. Also, the other side of it is, all areas benefit from diversity, right? Diversity of thought, diversity of perspective, diversity of backgrounds. We cannot have, I don't think it serves anybody well to have yet another space and industry that does not include women.
Right.
When we have more women involved, things go better, just from the diversity perspective. And of course, I'm biased because I am a woman. And so I think anything I get involved with is better. Just kidding. But it's we need to have more women involved if we're going to make sure that this new, evolving, and transformational space is serving the most people and doing the very best it can as an industry.
Yeah. I believe like all the women listeners are just like applauding you, fingers snapping, like, yes, we do improve drastically spaces that we're in. So
Come on, queens, let's get involved.
so okay. All right. So how do we go about ensuring that women have like not only the access to these crypto spaces, but like they feel empowered to really dive in? You were speaking a bit about like just overcoming like the whole risk factor, if you will. So can you dive into that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I have noticed in my research and just being self-reflective on how I operate and behave, when I'm working in a space that is new and foreign to me, that feels like I'm the odd person out. It's creating a strong sense of community, right? So
Mhm.
making sure that you are learning and growing with other people that are like you so that you don't feel alone. And we see this a lot in the tech space, like the power of affiliation groups.
Yeah.
Within Venture for America, having our Rise groups where you get to connect and build community with people who have similar life experiences you do. Have a safe space to be vulnerable, ask questions, and learn together and grow together in this space, and also support and build one another up. So building community, I think is huge for this. Making
Right.
sure that like you don't feel like you're the only woman joining some Discord community for this crypto
Mhm.
project. Like that you're finding other women to go along this journey with you, and you feel like you're not alone. So community, I think, is a really big one. Easy to access resources for the jargon. I think a lot of folks, a lot of women see this as like, this is tech. I don't have a background in tech. I'm
Mhm.
not super comfortable in this space. And if I get involved, I have to have a degree or
A
some
computer
sort of experience with
scientist.
coding. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I have to be a technologist. And that's just not the case. It is a very jargon heavy industry. And so I think resources to break down some of that jargon, be able to understand and at least be able to like keep pace with the conversation. This isn't a space where like you have to have a computer science degree. You don't need to necessarily know like the nitty gritty of blockchain, but understanding at a high level what that is so that you can stay informed and be able to do your own research and feel empowered and confident in the decisions that you make is really important too.
Yeah, I love your take there because that's really a lot of the reason why we even started the Block to Block podcast, right? Because Web3 Wayne, other aka also known as Derek, him and I, we both have IT degrees, so and we're like technologists, so we're in love with the tech and we'll take the time to like study blockchain and whatnot. But what we found is that while this technology in this space is very transformative and can make a huge impact, many people just don't get involved simply because of what you just stated. This idea of, oh, I need to be like a computer scientist, a developer, or have all this education to know all the technical nerd stuff, which you really don't need to know. Like what I love to say on the show all the time is if I ask you, tell me how the internet works, you're not going to sit there and say it's a network of interconnected servers and there's these internet protocols and packets. And no, you're just going to say connect to some Wi-Fi, go to Google and have at it. Right. And so it's very important that we have platforms, not only just block to block, but communities that you mentioned in which we can really break down and make this accessible to the everyday person because you don't know you don't need to know how a car works, but knowing how to drive a car and get to your destination is powerful.
Exactly right. And it's like, we're not going to throw a 5-year-old in the driver's seat. There's still some level
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like, I've got a 3-year-old. I can't imagine like putting her in control of anything, but like, you need to have some level of understanding, some level of experience, some level of knowledge to for the benefit of you and those around you to put you in that driver's seat. But you don't need to know how the engine works, right? Like you don't need to understand the ins and outs of that. Like you just need to be able to safely get from A to B and navigate that car without crashing into anything. And
Exactly.
such a great analogy. I love it. And I'm going to steal it. That's exactly what we need for more people to get involved is you don't have to understand the ins and outs, but having a basic level and understanding of the jargon, mostly so that I think you can do your own due diligence. Like
Yeah.
it is a volatile market. It is full of risk, but things that, I would say most people are fairly smart individuals that with some common sense and and some backing of actual knowledge and understanding of the industry can navigate and mitigate a lot of that risk by being somewhat knowledgeable without needing to be a mechanic, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think that's a really powerful thing.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's say, I'm a young woman listening to you, and my name is Papa Don't instead of Mama Do. And, I hear what you're saying. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I need to like get involved in crypto and like just understand how it all works. Like, where do I start? Like, how do I even go about educating myself on this space?
Yeah, great question. And pretty much what I'm wanting to launch. So the project that I'm working on is called Hive. The website is hellohive.io. And it's really it's really coming to fruition because of that exact journey that I had to go on. So when I wanted to start learning about crypto, first I tried talking to my brother who bless him, is not a teacher. Like that's not his. He was just like, like blockchain. Like you know what that is. Like
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what you're saying.
It's inevitable.
Right. So like I tried talking to someone who was not very good at explaining things, and then I started Googling, and you don't know what's reputable, what's not. It's still a really new market.
Mm,
Um, Trying to just like even understand what an exchange is. I mean,
mhm.
it was a journey, and it took months of obsessively researching and trying to get like a clear understanding, or somewhat clear high level understanding of the industry. So Hive, my goal with Hive is to be that one-stop shop for knowledge in the crypto space tailored to women and how they learn, and how we treat money. So the whole idea is that like you can get in, get reputable, good information, because I've done all the research and I know lots of other people who are far, far smarter than me, who have also pointed me in the right direction. Um, have that high level information. If you want to go deeper, there will be options to go deeper and kind of take you through the evergreen parts of learning about the crypto space. A community will be built into that so that you have other women that you can, learn with and grow together. And then also down the line, some investing tools so that when you're ready to take action, there's a safe and a safe space to be able to do
Yeah.
that with tools that are effective and work. So that's what I'm building out. If you are like literally today, as we're talking, looking at getting into this, I think some of the exchanges actually have some really good information that's out there too. Some of them have their own like learning, short courses so that you can get information, all
Yeah.
of course tailored with the idea of like they want you to feel knowledgeable and get involved quickly. So I think some of the exchanges like Coinbase have some really good resources too.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so you heard it here first, folks. Like for all you who are listening, go to hellohive.io and sign up for that wait list so you can get access to this powerful community of women who are going to be taking over the crypto space.
Woo! I love that. Join me.
I love it. I love it. So, as someone who's going through this learning journey, irrespective of whether or not you're a man or a woman, like what are like some key things you want to make sure that you try to learn just to get a good understanding of like how crypto works?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think some of the really important things, man, having to narrow this down is a little tough.
Mhm.
It took me a while to like actually understand what an exchange is, which
Yeah,
I feel silly saying that now that I know what it is, but like that's an important resource. It's an important first stop. So understanding what an exchange is, uh safety and security is another, that's
yeah,
probably one of the top ones, is like understanding the safety and security and the best ways of protecting your assets.
hmm,
um I would do a deep dive in the security and safety aspect. Like as much as I loved learning about like the actual technology and blockchain and what that means and the ins and outs of like the technological aspects of it, the most useful and immediately impactful lessons learned is the safety and security piece. Like understanding the difference between the different wallets
mm,
and the different tools out there, the importance of like your passkey and like all of those things, like the safety and security piece I think is the most
yeah,
instrumental. And so you don't want to be that guy who invested in Bitcoin years and years and years ago and lost, his key and now has $1 million of
yeah.
bit floating around in the ether that can never be like retrieved. So don't be that guy. Learn how to protect your assets.
Protect
Um,
the assets, folks.
yeah, I think that's probably the first thing I would really like understand and dive into, which is you're gonna need to understand a little bit about the technology piece, but um, I think that's like one of the most important things I would learn.
Yeah, and I'm super glad that you brought that up, right? Because cybersecurity in general is a huge thing that doesn't really get talked about as much as it should be within the world of tech, right? Oftentimes we get so focused on, what's like super appealing, being like innovation, building, making money, making impact with technology. But like the core infrastructure needs, such as cybersecurity, is super important because it's not a matter of if, it's always a matter of when, right? And that it impacts many industries, many industries don't have strong infrastructures to deal with cyber crime. And, when it comes to the world of crypto too, like, it's still very much a very newer industry, right? People are still trying to figure out how to build out the infrastructure in a way that's like very strong and palpable. And so, like, we've talked about this on the episode previous times of like how billions worth of crypto assets are stolen. And a lot of it is due to social engineering, right?
Yeah.
Being somebody who just said, hey, give me your private keys and
Yeah. Yeah. It's I was listening to a different podcast about crypto, and one of the hosts had some of his crypto stolen because it was like a I'm blanking on the name, but someone had like essentially replicated the site, made it look
mm,
possible,
yeah,
and he gave away his login information, and
oh,
they were able to get in and like steal some of his assets before he recognized it was going down and shut it down.
oh
It
no,
was just
that's
like
close to
the
my heart.
URL was like one letter off or something. And yeah, it was just like, that sucks. And so I think doing your own due diligence, especially for women who are getting like stepping your toe into
Yeah,
what is notoriously a risky space, feeling equipped and empowered to do your own due diligence and feel like you're prepped for making smart, safe choices that are going to protect you. I think that's a really, really important thing to be equipped with early in the process. So that when you're looking at like, do I want to buy this NFT? Do I want to invest in this protocol? Do I, want to do these things? That you have a good lens for evaluating the project. You know what is safe. You know what's not a scam. You're able to do your own diligence to make smart decisions for you.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, guys, education is so critical when it comes to just going into new spaces in general, because you do want to, it's the best way to mitigate risk, right? Now there is the balance. You don't want to get to a point where you get into analysis paralysis and you're like, I can never make action because I need to educate myself more. But actually, I'm pretty sure that's probably like one of the key points of the Hive community that you're building out is ensuring that not only are you educated, but you're action oriented. Like, can you talk about like some key aspects of like the community that you're looking to build out and like some features that will ensure that your community members are empowered?
Yeah, for sure. So like I mentioned at the top, one of the things that I want to build on to the platform are investing tools. So I have some developers that I've started working with that were recommended from another woman that I know who's incredibly smart, way smarter in this space than I am, who recommended these two developers to start building out some investing tools so that they're on the platform and ready to go for when you're using it. So
Mm,
if you're going through the education process and you're like, okay, like I think this is for me, I'm ready to get involved. Here are some tools that are readily available to start using and taking those action steps. My goal is to make sure that they're fairly low risk. I mean, again, like investing world, you do your own diligence, you make smart choices, make sure that you're looking out for yourself, but hopefully you'll be in a community with other women who are using similar tools and being able to like also provide that feedback back to me and my team on what's working, what's not working, and what you want to see, with a range of risk reward options, right? Like here's like in any finance investing situation where you have things that are lower risk, lower reward, and higher risk and higher reward whenever you're ready for it, but driven by women. um, I I think one of the really cool, interesting things about crypto is DAO communities. So being able to create a very democratic process, to be able to, have decisions being made by the community as a whole. So I would love to be able to introduce that whenever we're ready to launch that portion, so that women have a say and they have a vote in, the direction that we want to go. whatever typical asset or crypto asset we want to use, whether that's Solana or Bitcoin or whatever, for the investing tool and the direction we want to go there. So having a DAO, like, would love to be able to launch that. Again, that goes back to like making sure women feel empowered and have a voice, not just, consumers of the education and the tools, but also getting to shape the direction of this community and the resources that are being made available to them.
Yeah. And uh, yeah, you said the magic word, the DAO, like, because I'm just thinking like the Hive community could like really make an impact for women, like whether that's we're investing in like giving capital to women-owned businesses
Yeah.
or helping with like relief efforts or like philanthropic efforts for women, like especially during like certain matters that are like specific to women needs. Like there's just so much opportunity there. So I'm actually really excited about that.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. Like, I was listening to another podcast that's women in finances, and this woman was saying like women struggle with negotiations because
Yeah,
we tend to be incredibly altruistic, and how do we negotiate in a way that honors who we are and doesn't feel contradictory to that nature of being altruistic? And it's
right.
like, lean into that, right? Like,
Yeah,
I love that part of women. So how do we create a community that we're benefiting, we're serving ourselves, we are building each other up, we're building up our own wealth and our own assets, but we continue to honor that altruism and that community spirit that we have, to better serve others through this industry and in this crypto space.
absolutely. So a couple more questions I do want to ask. So when it comes to the whole investing in crypto aspect of it all, right? Now, I'm not saying like which cryptocurrency should we be looking to invest in, but I'm curious, like, what are like the key factors we should take into account when making an investment decision for like a crypto project?
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the things that, some of the advice I got a while back that I thought was really key is like, do your research on the asset and the project and make sure it's something you believe in.
Mhm.
Um, so I have Solana. That's one of my favorite ones that I invest in. Um, and it's not saying that anybody should or shouldn't, this isn't that advice. But one of the things that I really loved is that they have a foundation where they're investing, or they give grants to people who are also wanting to build in that space. I think a lot of crypto assets are doing that now, where they want to support people who are coming up and are entrepreneurs in that space and wanting to build a new project or new protocol using Solana. They have a grant for education, but also just the way that Solana works and their values and the benefits that they're bringing to the blockchain, and the way that transactions happen. I read through it and I was like, one, they're making it fairly easy to understand, so love that. Two, I love that you're using philanthropy to bring more people into this space and encourage people in this community to do more good work. And three, like, yeah, I'm on board. You're performing well. And, I was able to track using some other tools to see like how they're doing in the market. And it checked all the boxes for me.
Amazing, amazing. So I know we don't have much time left because you're a very busy individual building up the Hive community. But like, what's one major thing you're really looking forward to do with Hive?
Oh, I just want to see more women get involved, right? Like I'm really excited to see some of those statistic numbers change. Last I saw it was like 25% of all crypto asset holders are women. I want to see that number go up, right? Like I want to
Yeah.
see more women get involved. I also would love to get to a point where, we have a team of people who can consult with entrepreneurs on how to integrate crypto into the way that your business operates. So, how do we get more female entrepreneurs to leverage this technology and the power of crypto to enhance their business operations? in unique and creative ways. I am not the person, like, I'm not a technologist, so I'm not the person to do that, but I would love to find like women out there who are technologists who can come in and support female entrepreneurs in their own businesses.
I love it. I love it. And thank you so much again for the conversation, Mandy. This was very informative, and it's great that we have a diverse range of topics and we talk about how this technology can be of use to communities. So, with that, where can people follow up with you?
Yeah, you can find me at hellohive.io. Currently building out the social media, but it's on those links. Join the newsletter and I'll reach out.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again so much. And thank you for gracing us. I made a earlier mistake and I said episode 59. This is actually episode 60. So once again, thanks for joining us for episode 60 of the Block to Block podcast. I'm NFT and Jai, and I'm signing out. Peace.